Okay, you guys, this test is a really long test, so we're doing the Biology Unit 8 test. Really listen to the questions. Number 1, some organisms have genes that improve their ability to survive and reproduce. If the genes also help their offspring survive and reproduce, then which of the following will most likely increase? Is it A, the frequency of the gene in one individual, B, the frequency of the gene in the population, or C, the number of genes in one chromosome? D is not an option. Number 2. A harmless scarlet king snake and a venomous eastern coral snake have similar band patterns, also shown below. For the scarlet king snake, the adaptation of having a banded pattern like the eastern coral snake is also known as mimicry, where it's copying. The outcome of this adaptation in the scarlet king snake is to what? So in other words, how does the king snake stay safe by copying the coral snake? Is it A, makes it easier for the king snake to attract prey? B, makes it easier for the scarlet snake to interbreed with the other snakes? Or D, to protect scarlet king snakes from predators? So C is not an option. Okay, let's look at number 3. The limbs of several organisms are shown in the illustration below. Scientists sometimes compare the limbs of these organisms to look for evidence of common ancestries. So in other words, how are all these limbs similar? So here's the question. These limbs provide evidence of common ancestors because they what? A, have the same basic structure, B, perform the same function, or C, are the same size. D is not an option. Number 4. The opossum, which is native to North America, and the kangaroo, which is native to Australia, are marsupials. And which means they carry their young in a pouch. The fact that both of these mammals incubate their immature offspring in a pouch, providing evidence that they what? A, belong to the same species, B, must range great distances to eat, or C, have very similar skeletal structures. So how are they the same? Think about it. Number 5. Scientists estimate that there are more than 20,000 species of ants. The species range in size from 1 millimeter long to 38 millimeters long and live in most environments. The diet of an ant ranges from flowers and seeds to fluids from their own larvae. Ants have been able to successfully inhabit so many different environments because their population has been able to what? In other words, they're able to live in different environments because why? Is it A, hybridize with other species of insects, B, adapt to a variety of habitats and food sources, or C, fill niches usually occupied by mammals? So how were they able to live in these different places and adjust is what it's asking. D is not an option. Number 6, genome maps provide the DNA sequence of chromosomes. Some scientists have compared the genome map of the hedgehog and a sloth. What do these genome maps allow scientists to determine? Is it A, the color patterns of offsprings of each species? B, how much the size range of two different species differs? C is not an option. Or D, how closely related the two species are to each other? Number 7. Which condition is essential for natural selection to result in a new species? A is not an option. B, an inherited variation. C, a statistic environment. Or D, a long lifespan. Number 8. Two populations of mice living in the same forest are separated by a large water-filled ditch. After a rainstorm, flooding brings several of the mice from one population to the other population. When the mice from the first population reproduce with members of the second population, which of the following is most likely to occur? Okay, think about it, guys. You're introducing new mice new genetic variations? So is it A, all of the offspring will die as a result of reproductive mutations? B, the offspring will be forced to leave the second population? C is not an option. Or D, the offspring in the second population will have a greater genetic variety. Number 9. Bactrian camels, dromedary llamas, and Appalachia are all members of the same taxonic family. Camelidae, members of this family, all have 2 toes, no hooves, true canine teeth, and a split upper lip. The family Camelidae originated in North America. The physical features of the animal in this family and the family's geographical origin provide evidence that all of these animals what? A, live in the same type of ecosystem. B, have slowly evolved to become herbivores. Or C, have a common ancestor. If they have a lot of things alike, how are they related? D is not an option. Number 10. In the European roe deer, implantations of embryos after breeding is delayed. The deer breeds in July or August, but does not give birth until the following May or June. From summer to late December, the embryo rests in a state of dormancy as a 30-cell blastocyst. In late December or early January, the embryo sends a signal that causes the female to release a hormone, allowing the embryo to continue to develop more normally. So in other words, the deer do the deed, and instead of her getting pregnant right away, her egg goes and hides for a while. And then when it starts to warm up and everything, then her egg comes out and then it starts to form a baby deer. So why is the delayed implantation an advantageous adaptation for the European roe deer? Is it A, delayed implantation, so the delayed creating the baby allows the mother to continue to breed with other males? B is not an option. C, delayed implantation enables the female to give birth to more fawns each year? Or D, without delayed implantation, fawns would be born in winter when food is scarce and weather is harsh. So think about an animal. What is the ideal situation for them to have their babies? So is it A, C, or D? Number 11. In 2010, scientists excavate a skull fossil that provides evidence of newly discovered species of big cats. Based on the evidence, scientists hypothesize that big cats branch off from smaller wild cats about 6 million years ago. Which of these resources did the scientists most likely rely on to form this hypothesis? So what did they base it on? Is it A, food web showing feeding relationships of organisms where fossil skulls are found? Does this have anything to do with food? B is not an option. C, the fossil record and DNA comparison of big cats and small cats. Or D, the historical records of interactions between species and big cats. So basically, what did they look at? What were they able to put their hands on and touch and look at and evaluate? Is it A, C, or D? Number 12. An analysis of DNA and RNA sequences can be used to classify organisms. A dendrogram, such as the one shown below, is based on a molecular data. So in other words, look at this chart, guys. It's kind of like that one tree chart that we showed you. So which statement is best supported by the information in the dendrogram? Is it A, lesser pandas are more genetically similar to giant pandas than to raccoon pandas? So underline those and see which ones are closest. B, brown bears are more genetically similar to giant pandas than they are to sun bears? Or C, lesser pandas are more genetically similar to raccoons than they are to giant pandas? So who is related, more closely related? It'd almost be like who are cousins. Number 12. How are the seed dispersal methods developed by these plants, giving them a reproductive advantage? So we're going to look at the milkweed and the dandelion. Is it A, the method ensures that offspring will disperse and reduce competition for resources? B, the method reduces the chances that herbivores will consume the seed? Or C, the method lengthens the life cycle of each of these plants? Okay, this concludes the first part of the test.